What's going on, folks? We're here again today with another episode of My Watch Lifestyle, but this is different today. I'm just doing a watch talk with my buddy Lucas of Mirus Watches, but see, this is different, right? In here, we're going to show you later the new Mirus watch. It's the Protoype. Brung it here first, extra exclusive. It's the first time the world's going to see it. Back here, we ready to do some watch talk with my boy Lucas. Here, man.
Hey,
Thanks
man.
for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having it, bringing the watch down exclusive for us, man. We very appreciate that, so we can show to our viewers and things like that. That's what we do. Close exclusive. That's what we do. Y'all know that already. But anyway, Lucas, you got this new watch brand, but how we induct you into this watch world is crazy. You got to give us the backstory. You got to give us how did Lucas get into the watches. Like, let us know from day one, how did you get into this watch? Because it's crazy.
Oh
crazy
yeah,
people.
it's a journey, man. So I think it all really kind of started when I was a kid. I always really appreciated watches, thought they were beautiful, fascinating little machines. But you know, as a kid, wasn't working at the time, couldn't really afford it, so that phase kind of came and passed. But that general desire for owning watches and that fascination with them still kind of lingered. So fast forward a couple dozen years, I'm a grown man in a career, settled in my career, and I feel the time is right to get myself a nice new watch. Well, before you know it, I'm really just kind of hooked on it. One watch turned to 2 watches, turned to 5 watches, and then before you know it, I have a big collection, and then it became more than just a hobby, but really a passion and hopefully a fruitful career.
Now, what was the first one? Like, what was the first watch that got you back saying, no, I like this on my wrist, I want that? So what was that watch?
Sure. That had to be a Luminox. So when I was in college, I was waiting tables and bartending, and my stepfather gifted to me this Luminox F117 Nighthawk, all titanium, really rugged chronograph, and I beat the crap out of that thing, man.
That's what they for.
Yeah, but you know what? It was great, and it served me well. And then, you know, when it was time to service it, parts weren't really readily available for it. You know, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna hop into something different. I'm gonna go with like a nice mechanical timepiece, and then, you know, the rest is history. I got so obsessed with them that I had to own so many different kinds of styles, and you know, everything that fit the right occasion. And then before you know it, I have this collection in front of me, and then just the passion just was ignited.
So, you know, I like to, you know, me, if you ever watched any of my episodes, I like to find out. I love watches, but I also like to, you know, I like to find out about the person, you know, because I think watches is a personalized, individual accessory. So, and it's really true. I found out, like, people wear certain watches, they do certain things, they are a certain way. It's funny because, you know, people see when I wear a Breitling, people say, you look like a Breitling man. I'm like, what is a Breitling man? Then I'll like look at different Breitling mans, and I'm like, okay, we got a feel for each other. You know, on your time, like, what do you do professionally? How do you spend your time? You know, working, just things like that. Just give us a little backstory on Lucas, so we can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I've worked now in project management for quite a number of years, working primarily in IT and media, a bit in the healthcare sector as well, where basically I specialize in managing projects from inception to delivery, and that could be anything like you know, building new servers or launching a new application within a company.
Do you find, you know, you've bond, like, how is the watch people inside of that industry? Do you find people wearing watches a lot? Like, because I find myself, like, if I'm working or doing things like that, I'm a watch surveyor, so I see, you know, if this person has on a Rolex or Omega, things like that, you know, and I find little buddies in what I do. Do you see any watch love inside your
Oh
watches?
my gosh, yeah, absolutely. So one of my colleagues, Andrew, has a gorgeous Panerai that he wears. My boss, he wears a Breitling. He's a Breitling guy.
He's a Breitling
Yeah, he's
guy.
got a really sweet Navitimer. His boss, she wears a Rolex Datejust. Her boss, he wears an Explorer 2, another Rolex. There's a lot of watch love, especially in our department. We talk about them all the time.
Yeah, it's funny because I was doing something with Scope Art Fair, and I went around to all the booths, and I noticed that every booth owner had a some kind of watch on, and I would go up to them. I wasn't even talking about the art anymore. I'm like, nice Panerai, nice bright, and nice Patek. So a good friend of mine introduced me to the commissioner of the fair, and he asked me what was I doing. I said, well, I'm actually going around checking watches. I'm a watch guy. We talking. He said, I want to talk to you, and I said, yeah, he had on a nice Daytona. So he pulled me in the back, and he said, man, I've been working on this fair for the last year, and it's been crazy. He said, but nothing has been more stressful than the last 2 weeks. And I said, why? And he said, I've been trying to figure out what watch to wear. He said, I was trying to figure out what watch to wear for opening night. He was like, I didn't want to go. He was like, I didn't know if I wanted to wear a Patek. I didn't want to know if I wanted to wear my Omega on the floor. He was like, I settled with a date just for opening day. And he was like, for this next week and all these events that's going on, he was like, I don't even care about what I wear. I'm caring about what watches I'm representing this company with. And I just thought that was so funny. So, yeah. I love to hear these kind of stories because that's what that's what the My Watch lifestyle is all about. It bonds us together, in a place where people don't even know what we're talking about. I found a lot of buddies and things like that. So it's funny that you said that. Like, you start noticing all your colleagues, and then it's like, if you're into it, you want to compete. You want to talk to us, like standing by the water cooler. Yeah, absolutely. Somewhat. This watch industry, like, what you think about it? Because you have, like, especially we talk about what's going on in Switzerland. Some people say it's the death of Basel World. Some people say that, that you had the micro brands that's coming in and just kicking ass, and they're kind of being, it's like, screw you if I don't want to Patek, but then you have Patek and Rolex, Audemars, they're kings. Just what do you like about it? What you don't like about it in the industry?
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Some people are saying, well, it's kind of on a decline, and yet at the same time, a lot of people would argue otherwise. Mm-hmm. We have this explosion in the micro brand industry where startups now have accessibility to manufacturers and funds through different means that were really never around before. And it puts some of the big guys really, keeps them on their toes, because the competition's coming. It's here, actually. And people are paying attention to that. So I think that we're in the middle of a big change cycle. I think that 10, 15 years from now, we'll be able to look back on this as a pivotal point within the watch industry to say, oh, do you remember the big micro brand shift, and really the individuality that was kind of presented as a result of that. I think that we're going to see a lot of that. In terms of the things that I would like to see change, the state of Basel world, I would really like to see that reverse. Here, obviously the Swatch Group pulling out and all the cool stuff that they really bring to the table. I'm a huge fan of Glasuto Original, Bourget, Blancpain. I would love to see some more of that, come back. And then, also, I think that we as I don't know, constituents within this industry, I think we kind of owe it to ourselves to really help kind of preserve that too. You hear things about people, setting up camp in hotels outside of Basel and having their exhibitions there and kind of exploiting that, But Well, really, is that really in everybody's benefit other than saving a few bucks? Like, isn't it a bit more than just that? Why does it have to be so transactional and so money oriented? This is really more. It's a passion. It's an art. It's a thing that really traverses so many different industries, from engineering to art to business to style to so many different things. So my opinion is that I really love to see that come back.
Like you just said, it is art.
Yeah.
It is style, and I think I tell people it's so many different genres or watch lanes. You have some people who just strictly care about the movement. You have some people who just care about the big brands. You have some people who love the micros. You have some, it's aesthetics and things like that. And I think a lot of times when people arguing these points, they're arguing from their personal point of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try not to do that, because the same way that I can love a micro brand, I can appreciate, a pattern. You know what I mean? I can appreciate the independence, the elongates and the glass shooters and things like that. So when I say I'm an enthusiast, I never say I'm a collector. I always say I'm an enthusiast, because I can't collect them all.
Yeah.
As bad as I would want to, I can't collect them all. But I like to have, I love to spot new watches or old watches, and I'm just having fun, like, in doing that. So you're right. I think that we should get more back into the art. You get some of the people arguing because, it's a Miyota movement, this is a Salida movement, I'm like, so what? But this person took his time to sit down and put effort and craftsmanship and design and, the name and, really build this brand up. So why would you just tear it down? But that's my personal opinion, because I'm a watch lover, I'm not a brand lover. I think when you get into it, especially your love for watches, I think that it will show how much you care about watches through your product. Because if you really care about watches, like you say, then you would be worrying about, and that shows in a lot of micro brands, in my opinion. Even a lot of big brands, I ain't gonna get into them because they might be my sponsors one day, but when they doing redesigns and I'll see, I used to like that brand, but the quality of the casing went down, the attention to detail went away. So a lot of times, people will just grab a brand, throw it out there, and I'm like, how can you possibly say you're a watch lover? You're a watch enthusiast, you respect time, and you just didn't care about this crap that you put out. So, I think the micro brands or the new brands that come about that have staying power, I really think that you can tell through their designs, you can tell through their product that they actually watch enthusiasts, because they took time to care about all the little nooks and crannies to make it better for the marketplace. So that's how I determine what's a good watch and what's not. So I know you Mirus watches, we do all of that, right? So, but we got to talk watches. We got to talk watches. The day I see you have on a beautiful Rolex. It looks from the 40s.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what watch you got on today?
So it's a little bit of a family heirloom. My stepfather's.
What is it? First.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a vintage Rolex Oyster Perpetual bubbleback, circa 1945.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So this actually came from my stepfather's family. It was purchased new back in 1945, and my stepfather, he was passed down to him, but he's really more of a Breitling guy actually, and he's always had an appreciation for them and a great respect for Rolex and their build quality. I think obviously 70 plus years later, here we are, right? And it's still ticking. It keeps great time, but he never really wore it, and so over the years it sat for a bit, and it really was in need of a good service. So I, as a Rolex enthusiast, said, hey, I would like to bring this thing back to life and really keep it going, keep on that tradition. And so that was actually a whole process of finding somebody who could repair it with vintage correct parts, or even actually genuine Rolex parts from the era, and get it up to speed. And I got to tell you, it was really cool. The Rolex forums, really awesome group of guys, and they helped me get this thing back up and running. And believe it or not, for 75 years old almost, it's still within chronometer specification. It keeps time with some of my best, and it's awesome. It's so different, and it's so comfortable, and especially amongst watch enthusiasts, if you bring it anywhere. Last year actually I was at the Watch Time show in New York City, and everybody was talking to me about it. All the manufacturers. I had the design director and CEO of Atelier de Monaco, and Frederic Constant and Alpina. He's talking to me about his watches, and he stops mid-sentence and just goes, "That is a really cool watch. You have to tell me more about it." And then and it's great to see that, especially amongst people. I love
that reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Far as I love that reaction when you wear something that's like, and it stops people in their tracks. Are you a more vintage guy, or just like me? I like everything, like some of your collection. But I ask everybody to come on with this. Give me your Grail watch. But see, I'm fair. I'm fair. I give people three. But it's three Grail watches. Because give me three. Give me three.
Okay. All right. So, amongst the three, I really love my all-time favorite Rolex. I'm going to start from the bottom. This will be number 3. The Rolex GMT Master Root Beer. I am a huge fan of it. I love the original one back from the 60s, and I absolutely adore the new one in the Ever Rose Gold.
Yeah.
Absolutely killer watch. I love it both in the two-tone and the full rose gold. It's on my short list. It is definitely up there as one of my all-time favorites. Number two, honestly, this was pretty recent. I was at a convention recently in Las Vegas, and I was able to stop into a Bulgari dealer. And I had seen Bulgaris before, and I had heard nice things about them, but I never really had the opportunity to handle one in person. And that's when I was able to put my hands on a Bulgari Octo Finissimo.
Nice, yeah.
Ooh, what a killer watch.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
The bracelet was out of this world. It was like silk draping over your wrist.
I don't think they get the respect.
They don't. They really don't.
Because of the jewelry, thing, but they make a nice watch.
And the movement was absolutely gorgeous on this thing. Just absolutely incredible. And then if you get it in the titanium, it's like a feather.
It's like a feather, yeah.
It's like nothing's even there. It's so comfy and so light, and it's really, really nice watch. But number one watch, my number one manufacturer, and you probably wouldn't guess this, but honestly, one of my major inspirations for really hopping into Mirus, Alonco and Sona. I really love them. I love everything that they produce. Everything is just so classy and beautiful. And there's when it comes to finishing a movement, they're second to none. They're just some of the most incredible craftsmen out there. And
this guy's entering the crazy world. He's throwing his hat in the ring, folks. With bringing a watch to the marketplace. I happen to think it's a cool watch, and when we met and we talked about it and seen a prototype, and now the prototype is done. But what do you far as, tell us a little bit about your watch brand and why you even wanted to get into. Tell us about Mirus watches. Where did it come from? How did you even come to saying, you know what, I do this, but I'm going to start a watch?
Yeah, sure. So as my hobby really kind of developed, I got to a point where friends and family and colleagues were starting to come to me actually for advice and say, I'm looking for a nice watch. I need your help. Okay, sure. And they'll say, I'm kind of tired of, buying this, department store fashion watch thing that costs, anywhere between $200, $300, $400, and falls apart after a couple of years. The gold plating on it flakes off, or it tarnishes. Yeah, it really is. the leather straps are wearing out or something, or if nothing else, hey, I got to replace the battery. I was just quoted $90 to do that. The watch is actually worth $85.
Yeah.
I could just sell the watch and get another one, and I just kind of want to break that cycle. I said, okay, yeah, sure. So now you're venturing into like a more kind of serious watch territory. Yeah, and so we look at things together, and almost all the time we would find watches that tick many of the boxes but don't tick all of them. Right? So for example, a lot of women actually would say to me that they love the look of a men's watch because they have a larger face, but it's frustrating to them because with that larger face comes a really large case, and it looks awkward wearing it on a smaller wrist. Other folks would say things like, how do I know that this is really going to be a high quality piece? What's the reliability like? What's the material and craftsmanship that's associated with it? What kind of quality control does the actual brand go through, and so on. And some of them are great, and some of them really aren't. So as I started compiling all this stuff together, it seemed to me that there may be an opportunity here to kind of create something of my own. And how would I do it based on all these this criteria that was given to me? So this is just something out of pure interest. I figured, hey, I'll start mocking some designs up and then showing it to people, and they go, you know what? Actually, that's really nice. It's elegant. It's classy. It's simple. I love it. You should do that. And then, of course, my fellow enthusiasts would say, hey, all these micro brands are coming up. You should do that. You should give it a try. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. If nothing else, I can say that I could do it. I can say to the world, hey, I built something, and here it is, and I can be proud of it. And I hope that it really goes in all the direction that it possibly could. I hope it really grows, and I can really develop not just a business out of this, but really a new channel, a new pathway into our industry in general, and start to really build that passion amongst non-watch enthusiasts, and if nothing else, create something that people go, hey, you know what? That's a Mirus. That's a nice watch. Solid buy.
Mirus watches. How did you come up with the name? What is the style you want to come across to your audience? Things like that. Just tell us a little bit about Mirus now.
Sure. So when I was thinking of a name, I wanted it to be something that's easy to say, something that rolls off the tongue relatively easily, kind of like what Rolex or Hans Wilsdorf had done with Rolex. But I wanted it to have a bit of meaning behind it. I wanted it to really kind of embody the general spirit of the brand. So I was envisioning a classy, elegant, but versatile timepiece, and I thought of some fun words to play off of that, and that kind of actually led me down a path of wording of Latin derivation. So looking through an English and Latin dictionary and a thesaurus, I started experimenting with some words, and then the word Mirus came up, which means wonderful or fascinating. And it just struck me so hard. It was this thing that means wonderful or fascinating, and I want people to actually feel that. I want people to, when they pick up my watch, I want them to look at this and see something that is beautiful and striking and enjoyable to look at, fascinating to look at, something that they can really enjoy, not just to wear and show to people, but just to look at and appreciate for themselves. With that, kind of along those lines, I developed a logo, the wreath logo, which symbolizes timelessness, because it's circular. There is no actual end to it. It seems well ingrained enough in our culture, but really, again, kind of driving that timeless longevity, something that is an instant classic and then remains that way. Because ultimately, I want that for my watches too. I want these to be not disposable things, but actual nice luxury jewelry that you can be proud to own and proud to pass on to your heirs.
So starting any kind of business, I don't think people know what actually goes into starting a business. People think, whatever it is they want to do, especially with watches. Oh, I go to watch and now I'll sell it and I'll become big. Just give us some of the backstory, You know, the grind. How long was this in conception? You know, from your mind. You know, from script to product. You know, how long did that take? About?
Oh gosh, quite a while. You know, it seems to vary amongst many micro brands. Most places or most folks seem to do it within 6 months to a year. I would say I was probably around 8 months or so, where it was frankly a lot of due diligence, a lot of research, because this is a lot more complex than what meets the eye. A lot of folks just think, oh yeah, just go and design the thing and then put up a Kickstarter and that's it. It's all you have to do. But really, no. There's so much more that's involved in it. You need to make sure that you're architecting a product that people want. There needs to be a lot of market research going into it. Then once you've actually designed this thing, just from an aesthetic standpoint, you need to derive technical drawings. You need to build prototypes and make sure that there's no major deal breakers with those. You need to really establish yourself within the industry. People need to know you, especially when you have to meet things like minimum order requirements, certain logistics to be able to deliver your product to your customers, especially if your customers aren't necessarily local. And just, I guess really, there are so many little things that come along with it too. Things that you would just never really account for, and you kind of have to be prepared for those unknowns.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing, and I knew this from the get-go, but I think the biggest thing that we have to remind ourselves is that for every successful, micro brand, there are numerous others that have failed before them. And one, you have to determine what is it that made them fail, or what things made them fail, and what things will I not do, or what things should I do to prevent that from happening. And moreover, even if you think that you covered your bases, that possibility of failure is always there. And like any business, you have to take that leap. You have to really be comfortable with the fact that you might fail, and that it's not the end of the world when you fail, but you have to be comfortable with it. And some people can't deal with that. Me, I'm ready.
I'm ready for the journey. I always say, when you become an entrepreneur, you gotta be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like that's
absolutely.
Like you really have to be comfortable without being uncomfortable. And once you adopt that, I think you'll be fine. But now I'm here. I'm about to do it. We're about to unveil this for the first time. The Mirus watch, live in the flesh. Oh man. And he brought the blue. He know I love blue. That's why. He put it in the blue dial. Oh man, it has like a sport. There's the double clasp sports band. You can almost wear it as it's clean dial, smooth bezel. Very legible. You can read it. Date window. It's pretty cool. And what kind of movement is it?
That's a Sellita SW200.
Okay, it's running off of Sellita. Yeah, man. And I'm telling you, it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels pretty good, man. You can feel the quality in it. Because I hate when people, if it's real cheap, it's flimsy, but this is real quality, man. Wow, I like it. I like this piece, man. It's nice. Man, I can't wait till this comes to market.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean? I hope I be right in line to pick one up. This is everybody know I'm a sucker for a blue dial. It feels good on the wrist. We seen it. I don't care what magazine, wherever it's at, you see it. We had the Mirus watch first prototype. He brought it to Mywatchlifestyle. I'm loving it. Can you give us a little insight on it? Movement, case-wise, what you do, things like that.
Sure. So, a lot really went into designing this. It's our take on a classic three-hand sort of watch, but there are lots of little nuances to it. So, for example, this watch is a lot of finishing. Whether it's the vertical brushing on the bezel, the polished rim of it, the circular brushing on the case, and then the vertical brushing again on the bracelet. The high polish H links, the embossed logo. I don't know if you can see that. The embossed logo on the back with the granular texturing, and then the polished logo again. The embossed logo on the crown. Just all of this stuff really went into it to make it visually complex and really play with the light and grab your attention, and again really kind of embody that spirit, that Mirus captivating, fascinating, style. That's our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And moreover, there are some other things within it that we really consider to make this ergonomic and comfortable for most people. So for example, this is a 40 millimeter case size, which for the most part is worn, I'd say, predominantly amongst men. It's a little bit on the larger side. Certainly they go higher than that. But unlike most 40 millimeter watches, the lugs, we've shortened them quite a bit, and we've turned them downward to hug your wrist. And so what this ends up doing is it creates a smaller overall profile for the watch, so that if you have a smaller wrist, such as myself, I have a 6.5 inch wrist, it'll fit and still look appropriate. And yet at the same time, if you have a larger wrist, the large diameter still lends itself to covering and offering that sort of wrist presence for you. Aside from that, one thing that I've been told, mainly by women, is that they enjoy the large face of a men's watch, but it's difficult for them to pull it off because the rest of the watch is that large size. On our watches, the dial itself is on average about 3 to 4 millimeters larger than anything else in the 40 millimeter case diameter, and we lend that mainly to the thin bezel while still maintaining a 100 meter water resistance depth rating. And then again, the shortening of the lugs and such, and keeping things relatively flat on the case sides here, so you get this big looking watch that really isn't all that big at all. It's only 47 tip to tip. Most watches in this segment are usually around 48 plus. And it's pretty thin too. It's about 10 millimeters thin, so it'll fit under a dress cuff very, very nicely, very easily. And so it's kind of built to handle any sort of situation, whether you want to wear it dressy or maybe you want to wear it to the beach. It can handle it. It's designed to be as really as versatile as humanly possible.
I love it. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool piece, but again, Mirus watches is here. We got the prototype live in effect. I'm loving it, man. Oh man, this is a good piece, man. This is a good piece, and we love the story. We can't wait till this comes to the market. I'm hoping, maybe I get lucky enough to get me a blue dial from Lucas.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's what I love about micro brands and independent brands, and you get to meet the watchmaker, because that's what it is. It's a lifestyle. Mywatchlifestyle. It's a journey, and when you get to meet up close and you meet the watchmaker or the watch, the brand owners, so when you got that watch on, you can feel that story. You can feel a part of them, and you get to tell that story and share their experience and their journeys. So that's the fun part for me, in any watch brand, sharing that story. So it's coming soon. I'm glad we got a chance to really, debut this watch and really get a chance to see it first and touch it first. But you guys will not be disappointed. And this is not a paid sponsorship, so I'm not, selling you on that. I really enjoy.
Thank you.
The great, this is coming from the heart. It's really a good piece. So two guys having watch talk, My Watch Lifestyle, having some watch talk. See you on the next episode. I don't know where we might be at. We might be doing a watch from the jungle. We might be in Switzerland. We might be on the lift, ready to go skiing and talking watches. So stay tuned. You never know where we at, what we're going to have, what we're going to do. So that's just the My Watch Lifestyle. You got to tune in to see it. Check y'all later.